So I just wanted to talk for a little bit, and I'm not really sure what exactly I wanted to talk about beyond a shadow of a doubt. I'm no Jordan Peterson, so it's very difficult for me to really um, form a conversation that is very compelling in the same way he can. But oftentimes, it doesn't matter how compelling the way you explain things are. It doesn't matter how true what the things you say um, might be, because a lot of times people will come into the debate with a position of there being a winner and there being a loser, which in and of itself completely, you know, it ignores the fluidity of human intelligence. It makes it seem like there's an absolute judge of what's right and what's wrong in a human perspective in a human conversation, which is all kinds of problematic. Oftentimes, it will be said, in a lot of the more scientific minded people will be they'll try to say something is just pseudoscience or something is just anecdotal or that it's just placebo. But what we need to really understand is that in some sense, on some level, there is no experience of anything. I don't care what it is that isn't some form of placebo or some form of anecdote. Uh, it could be anecdotal um, for one person, but when 1,000 people experience the same type of scenario, which is just as anecdotal, they call it a study and say it's all rational and that it's true because it's controlled. But the problem with models is they always fall and they always fail when when they go up against reality, because reality is not a model. Reality is a fixed system, and these people, they act like they know this because the science says this and we've seen it in these tubes and everything. Um, and yet these same people, they're the people who will say God don't exist and all this type of stuff, and metaphysics and pseudoscience and all this type of stuff. But yet at the same time, uh, there is no scientist anywhere that can point to consciousness anywhere in the brain. The brain is not even always active, but there's these near death experiences where when it does become active, it will become completely inactive. But then when it becomes active again, there will be these people who talk about these supposed near death experiences, and they're able to, in some cases, predict things. that happened that they couldn't have known happened in any way, shape, or form. And it also ignores examples like Sadhguru, who meditated, and they did a brain scan on him to see how many brain waves he had, or how many gamma waves he had in particular. And his brain scan said he was dead. He was in samadhi. All he was doing was meditating. But these monkeys on this earth said he's dead. And, you know, when atheists say this isn't proof of God, it's proof uh, of a science we don't understand. You're goddamn right. It's proof of a science that we don't understand, and to any measurable degree, that's kind of what God is. That's kind of what magic is, by basic definition. Because people get this ridiculous idea that metaphysics is outside of science, or that it's a pseudoscience, or that it's something that doesn't explain the universe, or that it's something that a bunch of cave dwellers came up with. But, in reality, metaphysics is it's by definition physics that we don't understand yet. It's by definition, these people get glimpses of this, and they're describing something that's very real. And these people get this idea that shit is pseudoscience, and they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. I don't know where to even begin with these people, because this shit goes deeper than they can possibly imagine. There's a cosmic potential that, for whatever reason, decided, or you know, you could say it decided without deciding, but it doesn't really matter, how you put it. You can put it in any way, We almost got to explain the Big Bang in a way that almost sounds a little bit, like it's a person, because of the limitations of our speech, at least, the limitations of average speech, um, for whatever reason, it initiated existence into being somehow. Whether it did so consciously or whether it did so unconsciously doesn't matter. And the Christians, they see the more physical elements of it, and the bush that was burning, and all that type of stuff that it talks about, in the Bible, where it talks about Moses, and they worship that as God. They worship the anthropomorphized attribute of the source. And then the atheists will go the other extreme, and they'll say that it was nothing at all. But I don't even believe that the Hebrew understanding of Genesis, if understood properly, means that anything was created from nothing. The idea of the word bara is also mentioned in later in Samuel somewhere, and it talks about the sons of Israel fattening themselves, or emanating their body right on the so-called burnt offerings, whatever the hell that means. And that's the same word that it uses, bara, which is supposed to mean create. Bara, right? It's supposed to mean to create, but it means to emanate. It means that God is what emanates it. God is what gives it the power. And people scream when you mention God, but what the hell are you going to do? We're talking about something completely undescribable. But you can't say that just because it's what is the word? A lot of these people like to say, well, if the source is untouchable and it's fucking beyond our comprehension, and what is it, incorporeal or whatever, then that means it can't touch anything. And so how did it create? Well, it created by its definition. That's how. Because by basic definition, that's what it is. It's the potential that emanated things into being. That's what it is by definition. I could go on and on and on about this. Everyone who talks down on Jordan Peterson doesn't make any compelling argument. All they do is make an ass of themselves, and they make themselves, just look like bigger dog shit by truly mature people, because mature people don't have this, materialist understanding. This higher morality is what holds God in our life, basically. And these jack-offs that want to go live their damn life like a bunch of hedonists, they don't need to go to hell when they die because they're already there. Separation from your higher self and your higher potential is separation from God by definition, because that's how God's defined in the Bible. And anyone who says that Christians have an anthropomorphic understanding of God, so we need to understand God like that to be fair. No, you're the one who's not being fair, because that's not what the Bible describes. And a lot of Christians don't even believe in what the Bible describes. So I'm going to leave everybody with those thoughts. I'm not even going to show my goddamn face in this video because I'm tired of this stuff, fucking ignorant shit, this kindergarten shit. All because these people can't do mindfulness for 40 years and find out for themselves, so-called anecdotally, if there is a higher power or if there's a God. Atheists are not really, they throw the baby out with the bathwater, just like the Christians do. And they don't denounce God because they don't even know what the fuck it is.